And now,
it's 10 a.m.
Let's just get down to it.
And it's time for your sports fix.
Strap yourselves in, folks.
From two guys who have covered the teams you're passionate about for years.
We are professionals.
This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jake Scott, Ben Anderson, thank you for making us a part of your day. How's it going over there, Ben? Happy Monday.
Doing well. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. It was a good weekend. No Jazz game over the weekend, so I had a couple of days to spend with the fam. Although, I think, well, let me put it this way: I took my kids to the park on Saturday evening, and it was one of those parks that has leaf, where you can drop off your leaves or whatever. And judging by the giant mountain, everybody did the same thing I did this weekend.
It was warm this weekend. It was a good time to finish up whatever projects you had.
Yeah, we went out there with the rake, and it's great. You know, kids jumping in the leaves is timeless and warms my heart every time for some reason.
Yeah.
But yeah, we raked the yard. That's what we did. We got everything buttoned up. But I could not believe how many bags of leaves were at this particular park. It was like, wow. Everybody is doing this weekend.
And they've all come down. All the leaves have changed and come down, and it's beautiful. Go to Peach Doors and Windows. Take it in.
Yeah,
take it all in.
Well, so it's funny. My house has a really nice view only in the wintertime.
What does that mean?
My neighbors have trees.
Oh, okay.
That have matured.
Yeah.
And so I have a nice view when the leaves
are gone. Yeah.
Which is kind of funny, right?
Sure.
You wouldn't think of something like that, but like to your point about Peach Doors windows, like maximize where you live. I should turn that whole that whole wall of my house into glass that is also energy efficient.
You should see if Cindy and the good people at Peach Doors and Windows will come and remove the trees of your neighbors. Just while you're at it.
Peachbuildingproducts.com. They do that. They do guerrilla tree ops. Illegal guerrilla tree ops.
They have 5-star ratings for a reason. They go the extra mile.
And when people come to them, they have plausible deniability because they're like, "What? We're a window company. What are you talking about?
What's that wood chipper doing in the back?"
I like that concept though. Illegal tree ops.
Oh, I'm sure it's happened before.
Well, yeah. I mean, what's his name? We revisited that the other day. That poisoned
Alabama.
Yeah, that poisoned the Auburn tree, right?
Yeah. But I'm sure neighbors have cut down each other's trees. It would be hard to buy a house for a view specifically. And like you buy it exactly like you're saying, you buy it in November on a beautiful fall day. Like, this is our dream house. The view is immaculate. And then in the spring, you can't see anything. I'm sure that has led to people illegally cutting down neighbors' trees.
For a variety of reasons, I actually don't hate it. Let me tell you this, because if those trees weren't there, I'd be right up in my neighbor's business 365. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
In the wintertime, I know exactly what my neighbor's habits are.
Okay.
In the summertime, I have no idea. Right. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, I can see their lights on or whatever. And if they're going into the backyard in the summer, I have no idea.
Yeah. All right.
So I don't hate it.
Sure.
And no, that doesn't matter. We have stuff to get to. Christian, you doing all right?
Doing excellent.
How are your neighbor's trees? Good?
They got a big one with some leaves.
Okay.
But I just mow over them.
Nice.
Have you noticed that Christian looks a little more fresh today than he does most Mondays?
Oh, what happened?
He had a normal
it's true.
hour post-game show.
He had one game and early post-game show.
Yeah, I got a chance to tune in. I thought he sounded pretty good. Now I've been threatened, so I can't say if I felt differently, but I thought you did a nice job, Christian.
Thanks for listening.
You're welcome. I tuned in. I wanted to get the instant reaction, which is why you should tune in to Christian and Alex and their post-game work, and of course pre-game work too. But in that case, I had an errand to run, Ben, and I'm frankly part of my excuse to run an errand is I wanted to tune in to Christian and see what was the scuttlebutt about the big Cougar loss. And I say big Cougar loss because I refuse to say it's a big Raider win.
Okay, nice win for the Raiders. I thought Baron Morton looked pretty average.
Well, he has a broken leg.
He is playing with a broken leg, and he couldn't hand the ball off without limping. So that was tough, but BYU was not really able to punish them. And, that broken leg is not going to heal during the season, so they're going to be dealing with that for a while. And you have to hope, I guess, if you're a Texas Tech fan, that it doesn't get worse. But it made them no worse for wear against BYU, and that was a lopsided game from the opening kick and never really got close. Never felt close, never felt like BYU was competitive in that game. And obviously the defense for Texas Tech was truly dominant. But I was I was uninspired by BYU's offensive effort.
Okay. Let's put a pin in that because I think you're right. I think you're right at the nerve of this particular game. But as far as the Raiders go, they are the Utes.
Uh-huh.
They are. I mean, they want to run the ball and they want to play dominant defense. And if you get behind against them,
you're toast.
You're in real trouble.
Yeah.
Like they are that.
You talked about Utah being a boa constrictor.
Yep.
And that's exactly what Texas Tech was.
That's the Raiders. They're not. They have flaws.
Yeah, they do.
But when they're up by 2 scores or more, you're not going to expose those flaws.
Yeah. They were able to run the ball.
So, I mean, that was true. That was true against Utah. That was true against BYU. And I did think that it's remarkable how similar those 2 games were because they were really similar.
Yes, they were. Yeah.
But I think they were similar for different reasons.
What does that mean?
I don't think Devin Dampier was capable of being aggressive and throwing it downfield.
Okay.
And Utah maybe knew it and then called into it, and then it unraveled eventually in the fourth quarter. I thought with the Cougs, I thought their game plan, and you talk about being uninspired. Let's talk about why. I thought their game plan was remarkably conservative.
Yeah, it was. That was exactly the point.
Remarkably conservative.
Agreed.
And I get it. You don't want the Frosh to lose the game for you. That was something I feel like against Colorado. He's played several games, including a really big one against Utah since then, and proven that I think he's capable of more than just let's limit the Frosh and make sure he doesn't lose the game. Now, that is my opinion, and it's actually beside the point. A conservative game plan is not going to beat Texas Tech regardless of who you are. That's the way to beat the Raiders is you got to be aggressive and throw it all over them.
Yeah, you do.
You're not going to run it against that line. You're not going to slant it against those linebackers. They've got like 2 All-American linebackers. As much as I hate to give the Raiders any credit, like that's the teeth of their team. Utah couldn't loosen the Raiders up, and BYU didn't. And maybe the Bear, you know what? Maybe the Bear isn't capable of it, and he would have thrown the game away. But that's not how BYU lost. I think they lost because I don't think they had a great game plan, honestly. And I thought the defense was pretty good. BYU's defense played well enough to win.
Yeah, you held them to 29 points. I said last week I thought it would be higher scoring. It obviously was not. I did say I thought BYU was going to need to score 30 points to win this game, and that proved to be accurate. But I thought BYU's offense was going to perform better than that, and I actually thought Texas Tech might score a little bit more than 29 points. But yes, to your point, I don't think BYU's defense was necessarily the flaw in this game.
No,
because,
BYU
again,
gave it away 3 times.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
holding the Raiders to 29 when you lose the turnover battle 3-0. Defense wasn't your problem.
No, when it was 13-0 at halftime, I know they didn't have the ball coming out of half, but if you get a quick score, which BYU has proven capable of, it feels like a real game, and they never even got that.
The Utah Raider game, defense wasn't the problem.
No, it was not.
And that's where the games were really remarkably similar. Now, maybe the Bears just not capable of it, and I'm drinking the Kool-Aid, I guess. I don't know, but they didn't lose the game because of the Bear. They didn't let the Bear lose it.
I agree with that. I do. If you want to be very generous, you could say, well, BYU tried to play a conservative game plan and hoped it would be good enough and didn't want to show all their cards for a potential conference championship game. I think that's probably imagining a little bit too much 4D chess. You have to go out and win games. You have to go out and prove you're good enough to win games. I don't think you can save anything for a hypothetical Big 12 title game a month from now when you still have to win games to actually prove you can get there. You you do control your own destiny, but so does Cincinnati, and you play them. So if Cincinnati beats you, Cincinnati's probably going to the Big 12 title game, and you are not.
The coaches aren't thinking that.
No, they're not. I can't imagine
there's no way. I mean, look at Utah. If Utah would have intentionally lost to Fingernails in the regular season, anticipating that they were going to play against Fingernails in the conference title game, that's crazy.
So I'm with you.
Or the same scenario with Oregon when they beat Oregon twice
in a row, right?
Not in a row. There was a week or two.
Yeah, but it was very close. Yeah. Yes. I to that point, I was surprised BYU was not more aggressive. And honestly, that was the only reason I could think. Was it hubris that they thought they were going to go out and that offensive line was going to push around Texas Tech's front seven? Because nobody's really pushed them around, including Utah.
Okay, I have a theory that is entirely a theory.
Okay.
And if A-Rod heard it, he's probably going to punch his radio, but whatever. Sometimes when it comes to the biggest moments, we go back to what we're comfortable with. And that's part of like our training, our upbringing or whatever.
That's
Ben,
survival instinct.
If you and I have a big show, we'll go back to the roots of what really works for us, and that go back. A-Rod coached under Kyle Whittingham for so long. So long, not just as a coordinator, but also as a position coach. I mean, he reverted to Utah A-Rod in a big game. That's my theory. Because the great part about his story at BYU, Ben, is the kind of the behind-the-scenes scuttlebutt that you heard in his transition from Utah to BYU was he wasn't allowed to coach the way he wanted to coach at Utah. There was the reins were on, which honestly I think is a fair thing to say considering how we've seen Kyle Whittingham interact with offensive coordinators for basically his entire career.
Agreed.
And then he goes to BYU and he coaches Zach Wilson and all these quarterbacks he sent into the NFL and really doing some creative things. And I think coming into his own as a play caller and an offensive coordinator because the reins, quote unquote, were off. But you go in a road game, first top 10 matchup in BYU history, and you're drawing up a game plan. I think he kind of reverted to.
Agreed.
I think he reverted to how he was trained and how he came up. And he won a lot of dang games at Utah. A lot of games at Utah. That was one of your guy, Kyle Gunther's biggest complaints, right? I remember him saying, like, you're going to criticize a guy who's won whatever games as the offensive coordinator at Utah. And Kyle was a little biased because he liked the guy. Because everybody likes the guy, right? So that's my theory. I don't know. What do you think? I think they went to, like, let's draw this thing up conservatively because this is how we beat tough teams. And I just don't think that was the way you were going to beat the Raiders.
I can buy that. I also just think there was just some thought that, hey, we're big and tough and we can match up with you big and tough. And it was just the wrong idea.
Well, nobody thought that. If they thought that, they were the only ones.
But they ran out injured. LJ Martin was their number one option in the first quarter.
Not fair because they don't have anybody else. So if LJ
Well, yeah, they do. They have Chase Roberts and they have JoJo Phillips back apparently. And they have Parker Kingston.
I'm talking about specifically running. Oh, I see. I was misinterpreting your point. I apologize.
No, the idea was, let's run the ball. And I know almost the worst thing, it's the Russell Westbrook 3 that we've talked about. If Russell Westbrook hits a 3 in the first quarter, it's the worst thing that can happen to your team because he thinks he's hot the rest of the game. It flipped where LJ Martin's first run, I think he had 8 yards.
Yeah, pretty good.
Right up the gut. And you thought, we'll go to that all day.
Yeah.
We'll take 8 yards all day when he finished with 35 yards.
Well, that was wrong. And I could have told you that was wrong. And that's why I think it was honestly a game plan issue. And if people want to, argue otherwise, I'm certainly no football savant. But going into that game, Ben, you were saying that they have to score 30 points against Texas Tech to win. And that turned out to be true. And way to pat yourself on the back earlier. I'm proud of you.
Thanks.
Sitting
on that all weekend.
How are you going to score 30 points against Texas Tech?
Yeah, no, well, that's the thing.
How was that even going to be possible against the best line in college football? And honestly, what's his name? Why am I forgetting? Jacob Rodriguez. That guy is a baller.
Yeah. Well, so is was it Bailey? That kid is also a heck of a player.
Well, he's the outside linebacker, right? The pass rusher. Right. Yeah. Who's terrific.
Yeah.
So you know where those guys aren't? chasing JoJo Phillips down the field or Parker Kingston or whatever. And those guys didn't have particularly good games. So, I'm not saying the Cougs played well, but I don't think they really gave themselves a chance.
Well, Parker Kingston had, how many catches did he have? He had 5 catches for 43 yards. So that's a decent amount of targets. L.J. Martin got a lot out of the backfield, but those are dump-off passes. Those are, where do I go?
No, they were slanting it.
Yeah.
They were slanting it all night.
It's
Or out of the back, we're screening it or all that sort of stuff. It was the dink and dunk type of, and what they needed was to let the bear eat.
Yeah, there was no vertical passing game really as a threat.
No.
So I was
and
surprised.
That's where their advantage is. Their advantage was in the receivers.
What I did say last week that I did not see at all was, I thought maybe they're going to go deep to JoJo Phillips really early, to try and loosen up this Texas Tech defense, because if you don't, the result is going to be 29-7, or what was the 34-10 against Utah. It was the exact same game, like you said, the exact same result. If you can't loosen up that front seven at all, you don't stand a chance. And BYU didn't do it, and I didn't feel like BYU tried to do it.
Well, that's the lesson that General Pickett learned that day there in Pennsylvania. They're like, maybe if we go right at their center, maybe if we go right up the middle.
Yeah.
We've tried the previous 2 days here at Gettysburg, we've tried to ease up the flanks and weren't successful. So maybe.
Have you thought about
maybe if we go right up the middle with all we got.
You're not talking tiny hands.
Maybe that'll work.
No,
I'm talking General George Pickett, I believe is his first name.
Okay.
Pickett's charge, Christian, was a famous maneuver in the Battle of Gettysburg. Although I wasn't alive for that one either. It was a massive, long story short, massive failure. You can look into it, but it didn't go well.
Multiple pickets leading charges in the state of Pittsburgh.
Yeah, unsuccessful.
State of Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Anywho, trying to run L.J. Martin right at him. I could have told you that wasn't going to go well.
Well, so I went back and looked at the play. He had 12 yards. It was the second play of the game. He had 12 yards. You thought, okay, BYU's going to be fine. And that was a third of his yards for the game.
So, of course, there's more to the story. And
it's not that simple.
If A-Rod were sitting in this room, he would explain exactly what logic went into his game plan. I'm sure it would make a ton of sense. But watching it play out on the field, I think the reason they lost is because they weren't more aggressive.
And if Chase Roberts or Parker Kingston or JoJo Phillips or Carson Ryan or whoever was open, I think Bear would have gotten him the ball. I think a lot of the credit belongs to Texas Tech.
Oh, heck no. The Raiders stink. Flawed team. Flawed team.
Well, nobody's perfect. I don't think anyone's perfect in college football. Maybe Ohio State's close.
Just neither local school decided to throw against them, and both local schools lost. I think, honestly, it comes down to that in both those games. I think BYU and Utah were more than capable to win those games, but they didn't exploit the Raiders where they're weak. How do you think the Raiders are going to do against Ohio State? You get their doors blown off.
Probably. You get a couple of big receivers like Ohio State has, and you can pick them apart that way.
Because old shoe polish Beard is going to go out there and throw it all over them.
Yeah. I do think that's going to be the approach other teams take. I don't think Utah can. I don't think BYU did. I think BYU can do that. Not to the level of Ohio State, but I think BYU can move the ball through the air, and I, too, was surprised they didn't.
Do you think Blackbeard dyed his beard toward the end?
What do you think they would use? Like squid ink out there on the ocean?
I honestly don't know.
Huh.
But I'm thinking Ryan Day's like 50.
Coal.
And
it was smoke, like smoke bombs.
Well, he did have those in his beard, when they boarded ships. It was intimidation kind of thing.
Yeah. Tie him in there.
But I wonder,
through the beard.
like if you're going to have a reputation for a jet black beard, don't you have to come across that thing naturally? Doesn't it have to be natural?
It'd be weird. Because you probably didn't see pirates all that often. You'd probably only see them like every 3 or 4 years when they came to town, and you'd be like, Blackbeard's going gray.
Yeah.
May not have it anymore.
Right. That's a great point. So I'd find the squid ink, I guess. Is that the case with Ryan Day?
I think so.
It's like my team's not going to take me seriously unless I've got a nipple ring and jet black beard. Whatever he's doing is working. Number 1 team in the country.
Yeah. He's figured it out.
Coach Witt. No, I'm not going to make that joke. You imagine?
No,
All
I
right.
cannot.
Stay tuned. More next. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
It's time to break down the biggest stories of the day. This is the top 3 stories of the day on KSLSports.com. 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
Jacob in 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Want to remind you about Win Ticket Wednesday, your chance to win big every week. This week, we're going to be hooking you up with tickets to go see Holiday Lights at the ballpark at America First Square. A brand new, immersive holiday tradition opening November 14th. Reserve your tickets at the ballpark at afs.com. And listen to the KSL Sports Zone all day on Wednesday for your chance to win. Time for the top 3 stories of the day. KSLSports.com, brought to you by J. Brooks Jewelers. Cherish your love with J. Brooks Jewelers. Explore their expertly crafted engagement rings made from the finest materials. J. Brooks Jewelers. All right, Christian, where are we starting today?
Number 1, Jazz lost to the Timberwolves by 40 on Friday night. Looking for revenge tonight at home.
Same Timberwolves team tonight here. It just looked. This was what I was trying to parse out. Was that Game 5 of a 5-game road trip where teams just want to go home? It's a young team specifically who's not playing particularly well, so they just shut it down? Or was that a team that pulled back the curtain of what they really are, and that's what the rest of the season is going to look like? Not down 28 at the end of the first quarter. Were they down 29-9, I think, to open the game? Whatever it was a 20-point game immediately. But that's what I was trying to figure out. Is this the rest of the season, or was that Game 5 of a 5-game roadie?
Do you remember, and I don't expect you to remember everything I say, but do you remember my takeaway from the Pistons game?
What was it?
They should have lost by 30.
Yes.
And they did not. And what was the reason for that? The reason they should have lost by 30 ain't going away. So tired road trip, sure. I mean, they lost by 40. Do I think this team's going to lose by 40 every night? No, I do not.
No team's ever done that.
So, in fact, this is the first game in franchise history they've ever lost by 40.
Oh, really?
They've lost by more.
Oh, okay.
But it's the first time they've hit 40 on the nose.
On the dot. Okay. I didn't know.
Which I don't know if that's particularly relevant. But anyway, first time they've ever lost by exactly 40. But they're super flawed now because of Walker Kessler's injury. Mm-hmm. On both sides, offensively and defensively. And I thought on Friday, if people want to go review what Ben said on Friday's show, I would encourage you to podcast it. But you painted a picture of why they miss him on both sides, particularly offensively. And I think you were right on the money, because Nurk, Kevin Love, and Phil aren't doing anything for you.
No, they're not.
They're not doing any, and that's not going to change. It's just not. I mean, I know people are high on Phil, but if he gets there, he ain't there yet. I still don't know what position he plays, and now all of a sudden you have to play him at big for stretches during the game.
Yeah.
And how's that going to go? Not well is the answer. So I don't know. Ben, Mo Bamba is not the answer.
Probably not.
Oscar Shibwe is not the answer. And honestly, if the idea is to try hard and lose, then they don't do anything. But as it stands now, they can't get the offense going. They can't stop anybody at the rim. It's going to be a lot of nights like this, because they're now fundamentally flawed.
Yeah, they have a fatal flaw.
Yep.
That is why Walker Kessler's probably been the most irreplaceable player on their roster for a couple of years now. He's pretty unique. He's not the best center in the NBA, but what he does is really valuable to NBA teams. He
was like the only positive storyline last year, the fact that he turned into a monster, and it looked like he was going to take another step this year, and that's really a shame that this shoulder injury brought that journey to a halt. But what it does do is make the Jazz significantly worse.
Last 5 games, which is not exactly when Walker went out. Let me see.
No,
it was against the Suns. That's when he got hurt.
Yeah.
So it's been 5 games since you've had a fully healthy Walker. Since then, the Jazz's offensive rating, which is points you score per 100 possessions, is the worst in the NBA. It's less than 100 per game.
I was going to say probably by a mile.
Borderline unheard of.
Yeah.
Well, there are other teams who are truly atrocious this year. The Indiana Pacers have 1 win on the season. I think they're 1-9 to start the year, something like that. They are
like that
at 100.6.
Like that?
So they're even a full point better, which a full point is not nothing when you're talking about these types of rankings. So Jazz are truly horrendous. Jazz might have the worst net rating in the NBA in that stretch. Second worst net rating in that stretch, which is your offensive rating minus your defensive rating.
The two positives from that game, Ben, if you want to look at positives, Ace Bailey played really well in his 24 minutes with 12 and 6. Mm-hmm. And Keontae, I wouldn't throw in the played really well category, but I will throw him into the I tried really hard category, which is important for him. He did not stay at the hotel. I mean, he played hard.
Or get angry at his teammates for stinking.
Or any of that stuff.
And say, I'm going to take my ball and play Keontae ball, which is what he did for his first 2 years of his career.
I thought he was pretty good. So there's two minor positives. Actually, Ace playing well is not minor, I would argue, but there you go.
I think that's an important point to make, not for Keontae specifically or not for Ace specifically, but what is going to be something that is worth rallying around, and not for the fans, I mean for the team. What is going to keep people excited about being on this basketball team? Because it's not Yusuf Nurkic playing 30 minutes a game. And it's not Lauri Markkanen doing whatever Lauri Markkanen is doing. That's not a criticism. It's just we know what Lauri can do. We know what he can't do, and that's what he continues to be in the NBA. So what's going to be the next thing that the team is kind of excited about and is fun to be a part of? Because if you don't have it, this year's going to turn out like last year. Last year was untenable.
And this might happen a lot.
Yeah. What we saw on Friday is going to be not the norm. You don't lose by 40 most nights, to your point. But it's going to be in the deck of cards every single night you step on the floor.
No,
possible you draw this.
They're going to play against a lazy Clipper team every once in a while, and it's not really going to hurt them. But to the point, I mean, and I always like pointing to the brilliance of this show. I mean, the number one storyline was always going to be, and currently is, can Ace Bailey become a star?
And that might have to be the excitement
to
of
be
the
famous.
Team. That might have to be the thing to rally everybody is, this kid is doing some things that we don't have anyone else on the team that can do, and so we're going to rally behind him.
If they don't square his dang shoulders when he shoots, I'm going to go insane. And
some
maybe he's Jeff Malone, who just has a terrible quirk that actually doesn't work against him, but
I'm with you.
Face the basket.
Yeah, right. Get your hips and your shoulders lined up and adjacent to the basket. If it's going at you, you need to make a right angle with your hips and your
that's the one thing with Jeff Malone. He was falling to the right, but he was facing the basket.
He was square.
What's next?
Number 2, BYU struggled on Saturday in Lubbock. Can they turn the page quickly and avoid a second loss this week against TCU?
There were some good outcomes for Utah. Because we're making up the college football playoff ranking week by week, I'm not necessarily sure what to believe or what to say is good or bad, especially when it comes to what happens with BYU or Texas Tech. You might be able to think you know what's better, BYU winning or BYU losing. But I would look at the teams behind Utah that we had said were maybe set up to leap them over the weekend. Had they gotten big wins, like had Missouri beaten Texas A&M, the College Football Playoff Committee would have loved to say, an SEC team beat a top 5 team. They've got to go up to number 10. And we didn't see that a whole lot. Iowa did not beat Oregon. Virginia lost to Wake Forest. Some of these teams that were 14, 15, 16, 17 to 20 that I think had a case to jump Utah with a good win, for the most part, did not get those wins.
Well, we could talk about BYU not getting beaten twice, but if we're talking about Utah getting into the playoff, the only relevant thing is the record of the ACC. And maybe you could argue the record of the SEC middle.
Yeah, if Vanderbilt losing would have been way better for Utah. Had Vandy lost to Auburn, that probably would have
Utah,
been a good loss.
If that's the direction we're going, Utah couldn't have had a better weekend. Well, they could have if BYU would have beaten Texas Tech. But if you look at Louisville losing, UVA losing,
Washington
there was another
lost to Wisconsin.
Who lost to Wake Forest? Was that UVA? I think that was UVA.
Virginia, yeah.
I mean, brutal losses in the ACC because that league really sucks. And so if they only get the automatic in, then that way betters the Big 12 likelihood of getting at least 2.
Yeah, definitely 2.
And opening the possibility for 3. Yeah. But BYU can't lose again. And my Bearcats might get them. That's going to be a tough game. And I would guess that BYU doesn't have too much trouble putting this one in the rear view.
No. I'll be curious the physical toll that Texas Tech takes on you.
There's still a lot to play for, being my point.
For BYU?
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing has changed for BYU at all.
No.
That's the nice thing about this game is it would have been fun to win, top 10 matchup, ton of eyeballs. People are going to now doubt BYU because the game that they watched other than the Holy War most closely was a game against Texas Tech, and you got the wheels blown, the doors blown off. It was a very bad performance from BYU, and that's what people are going to remember. But if BYU takes care of business, they're going to the playoff.
Would they fall to 12 or something like that in the AP poll?
Yeah, we'll see the college football playoff poll coming up this weekend.
No, I'm not going to look at it.
Or I should say tomorrow, Tuesday night. Yeah, BYU at home against TCU. They should crush them. But TCU is a pretty good team. And then Cincinnati. It's not a cakewalk of a final schedule for BYU. But they have handled all the teams they're better than, and I think they're better than everybody else in their schedule until they get to the conference championship game.
Right.
Which should still be the expectation.
And then BYU beats Texas Tech. The SEC and the ACC flounder, and then that's how they get 3 teams in.
But, man, you can't lose to Texas Tech twice.
You know what would be...
And I don't mean the conference championship game. I mean you can't let TCU come in and surprise you at home because you're still looking back at what happened on Saturday.
All right, so here's my prediction for you. Because we all know that the playoff committee is looking for every excuse not to include the Big 12 or the ACC, right? And they kind of did last year because they had to. If BYU loses to Texas Tech in the conference championship game, only one Big 12 team gets in.
You think?
They'll use it as an excuse to say, well,
there was one good team.
BYU's a 2-loss team, and so is Utah, and BYU beat Utah, and we don't want to let BYU in, so we're not going to let either one.
I can see that. Absolutely.
Because that's what they want to do.
I agree.
All right, what's next?
Number 3, remember that 7-game Utah Mammoth win streak that feels like forever ago? They've now lost 5 of their last 6.
Their one win was in overtime on the road against a not very good Buffalo team. This has been a difficult stretch of opponents that they are playing. Edmonton is good. Tampa Bay is good. Toronto is good. Montreal is good. Ottawa's not great, but that was also the last game of this Herculean road trip where they started on October 23rd at St. Louis. They've had one home game since, as we know. One home game in the midst of a, 9-game road trip, essentially, is basically a road game in itself. You come home, you get right back on the road. You're not spending any time in your bed, other than there was a weird gap before that. But, yeah, they need to come home. They need to get home and get right, and they'll have an opportunity against Buffalo coming up on Wednesday.
Excuses, Ben.
Probably.
Yeah, you lose 5 out of 6. You're supposed to be a playoff team.
Yeah, you can't do that.
You're sucking it up out there.
You can't do that.
I don't care where you are.
Because you're just barely above 500 now, 9-7-0.
Barely beating Buffalo, who stinks.
Not squeaking out.
That's
even
the win?
Points in overtime. Yeah, that hurts you. That's going to be
I don't know. Home, road, whatever. I mean, if we were talking about the Donovan Mitchell Jazz, which is, get into the playoffs at that level, and they lost 5 of 6, we'd be clowning them. So let's not talk about losing 5 and 6 is okay. If you're a playoff team and that's the expectation and you're paying all these young players, we got to get out and win hockey games.
And it is that second line that has not been particularly good, that was so good, that baby line of Gunther and Cooley and JJ
they switched
Peterka.
It up, right, before the last game?
Well, they're making changes on the power play, and yes, they are trying, and I think Barrett Hayton got moved down.
Yep.
Cooley got moved up. Am I correct on that?
Yeah, they switched Cooley and Hayton.
And still did not get the types of results they were looking for. And then the defense has not been very good. They've given up 6 points, or 6 goals, 4 goals, 2 in the win against Buffalo, or I guess 1 in the win against Buffalo. 5 goals, 6 goals, and 4 goals. So they gotta get right. They gotta come home and they gotta start playing better.
Hey, good news for Christian. I just saw a link. You're a YouTube subscriber. You can claim your $20. Do you want me to send that to you?
Will you send it to my parents?
Yes, I will. You got
Thanks.
it. All right, stay tuned. We'll have more coming up next.
Is your dad's government email working again?
Jacob Ben, yeah, right. Jacob Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
It's another battle for the Aggies, and the KSL Sports Zone has it covered. The Aggies head south to Las Vegas for a Saturday afternoon showdown against UNLV. Your home for all the play-by-play coverage of Aggie football is right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. You're listening to Jake Scott and Ben Anderson.
Let's lock in.
On 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jacob Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Join JJ and Alex. Coming up Wednesday at RGS Exteriors from 3 to 6, 4235 Farm Road in West Jordan. Ben, did you see that we have a new gambling scandal?
Oh.
This time in Major League Baseball?
It's kind of the same one, right? It's an old one, but now has added new names to it.
I didn't realize that. Maybe you can add some context. I just realized it was two Guardians pitchers who were throwing balls on purpose and communicating with bettors on their phones.
Yeah.
During the game.
I didn't know it was during the game. I think that was news. But yes, one of the Guardians pitchers, see if I can figure out which one it was. I think it was Emmanuel Clace.
Yep. And Luis Ortiz.
I think Emmanuel had been locked up in it for a while now, like a couple of months, not years, but a couple of months now, because some of the pitches he threw were so egregious, and it was usually like the first pitch of an at-bat. So you can say, hey, this first pitch is going to be a ball, and not only is it going to be a ball, I'm not going to make it close. Like, he would bounce it in like a wild pitch, and the nice thing is you do it to open the inning. There's nobody on base. It's not going to actually affect the outcome of the game that much. So he would do that, and it started to draw eyeballs because he was missing by 5 feet to make sure that you wouldn't accidentally swing at it. You're not going to get a batter who's nervous. So he made it really obvious. So, yes, that happens, and then another player got wrapped up in it, and to your point, if you're communicating in games about what's coming, that's insane.
From your phone.
Yeah.
You know what you're doing is illegal, right? At very least, I would borrow Ben's phone. Hey, bro, can I borrow your phone real quick?
For a second?
Is that all right?
It says prosecutors say Clace began participating in the scheme as early as May 2023, while Ortiz joined in June. Clace's role earned his co-conspirators at least $400,000 in rigged bets. Look, man, I don't bet on sports. I don't bet on anything. I get why $400,000 is enticing. For a pitch?
Listen,
or a couple of pitches?
DraftKings or whatever is going to get blamed for this, and it's not that. I think this has been going on all along. Maybe not these crazy props, but game fixing, bet fixing.
Yeah.
I think it's been going on forever. I think there's a reason that David Stern put a lid on Tim Donaghy and didn't let that go anywhere, because he knows. I'm sure they have symposiums, Ben, where former gangsters come in and talk about how they get you. They do that at the Rookie Symposium. They have people like people who've been arrested for it or gotten caught up in it or whatever. They come in and they explain, this is what they do. This is what happens. If they weren't concerned about that, they wouldn't do it. If they didn't know what was going on, they wouldn't do it. So I don't know. I'm still in the camp of, I actually think it being somewhat legal and having above board companies do it is better, actually. The downfall is, though, Ben, and this is tricky, is that now we know about it.
Yeah. Well, it's
That's
easy to
why
track.
David Stern didn't try to fix the problem. He just didn't want you to know about it. Because now we're going to know about it, so now we're not going to trust these leagues. Whereas we shouldn't have trusted these leagues all along. We just didn't know about it.
And I apologize. It was Ortiz who got popped for it earlier. He was the one who was kind of being talked about by throwing some truly horrendous pitches, even though he was later to the scheme than Clace was. And Ortiz has been arrested. Clace has not yet been arrested, by my understanding.
I'm guessing they have the bet history and all that stuff now.
Yeah. They don't. I'm guessing they don't rush this. I'm guessing they gather a lot of information. They let you do it a couple of times. They recognize that, there are odd betting. What's the word I'm looking for? Patterns. Especially when you're on the bump.
And the only solution is zero tolerance.
Yes.
That's it.
It is crazy to me. I mean, Clace has a 4-year, $20 million contract, and he's getting, $5,000 a pitch. I guess still $5,000. It's a lot of money, but it's crazy to have that much money in your back pocket and be willing to flush it away. But yeah, it's got to be zero tolerance. You've got to be banned. You have to go to prison. There has to be full cooperation from the leagues and say, not only are we cooperating, we're encouraging you to punish our players to the fullest extent. It has to be really extreme.
I'm guessing most of these guys are gamblers themselves.
Yeah.
You want me to erase that 500 large debt? Well,
yeah, right. That might be where it came from. I've already lost money with you.
I don't know
gambling.
about this position.
Sure. But I get what you're saying.
That's where you wonder, this guy's making $20 million or whatever. Well, yeah, and he's probably gambling 30. I listened to the Pablo Torre finds out a podcast about Phil Mickelson last week, and I don't know how I feel about this current situation, but he did reference one of Phil Mickelson's gambling buddies who was like the ultimate sports gambler, and he said Phil is a close second, like betting in the billions. And you go, wow, Phil makes a lot of money. How could he possibly be in gambling, in debt?
Yeah.
Really easily, actually.
Charles Barkley said he's lost $25 million gambling. He said he's had nights where he's lost $2.5 million gambling. So yes, to that makes sense.
It's a compulsive behavior.
Yeah.
It's like alcoholism. Well, he's not going to drink a bottle of Jack Daniels a day. Well, it's like, well, yeah.
Yeah.
Because when it grabs hold, it's bad.
Yeah.
So anyway, if you have an issue with gambling, reach out to somebody.
Yeah.
In all seriousness.
Yeah.
Because it can become a life-changing issue, that's for sure.
I'll be curious. It's one of those things. It just feels like it's going to infiltrate every league and potentially every team over time.
All right, stay tuned. We'll have more coming up next. We'll get back to college football, of course. It's the Jake and Ben Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.